Nerderotic.com.
Welcome back to the Nerderotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I come to you live from San Francisco, California, and I am the Lord Commander of Nerderotic.com. I am with my good friend, Dennis Bithoulkas, and let me tell you about my good friend, Dennis Bithoulkas. Dennis is the kind of guy who will take a half an hour to get the closest parking space to a gym. What is up, Dennis?
I will not take half an hour to get a parking space to the gym. You lying old bastard.
What's up, man?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm good. I didn't deliver that joke very well. I've been working on it too.
Obviously, it seems like you've been practicing that in the mirror for a little while.
I practiced it for like at least 30 seconds. So here we are. We are going to be reviewing Defenders, episodes 1 through 4. If we accidentally get ahead of that, please forgive us. And this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so we've assumed you've watched this. If you haven't watched this, please stop, go watch the episodes, then come on back. We have been waiting a long time for this. This was a great birthday present for me to get Defenders dropping on August 18th. I just turned 48. I know I don't look a day over 50, but that's, it's not the years, it's the mileage. Right. I got my Power Man shirt on, ready to rock. And dude, first things first, let's talk about the 8-episode deal, and that's the biggest complaint that I've seen on the internet. Not very much about the show, Dennis, about, well, how did we get 13 episodes of Iron Fist? And then, we got 8 episodes of Defenders. And then we got a first episode of pretty much being an epilogue for everybody's series. How do you think, I want to know your opinion, how do you think that first episode was?
The first episode of the series here, Defenders?
Yes.
I loved it, but then again, I saw it in Hall H. You got to remember, I saw this during Comic-Con, and I was not expecting to see it, and it blew me away. It was actually really a lot of fun. So I might have been a little bit different for you seeing it, as released on Netflix, but seeing it up on the big screen, with a whole bunch of people, it was a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I'm going to come out and say I think this should have been 13 episodes, and I think the solos, except for Daredevil, should have been 8. And I'll come out and say that I love Daredevil. Season 1 and 2 might be my favorite MCU thing, period. Okay. And I've said that all along. That was our first year of our podcast, I believe. That was our first favorite thing was, I think it was, well, maybe it was our second year's favorite thing. It was Ash, and it was Daredevil.
Yep.
And I still stand by that. I love Jessica Jones, but I think it ran too long. I love Luke Cage.
It had some missteps and wrong villain.
Yeah, they really love to kill their villains early, and especially the good ones. I loved all the Cottonmouth stuff. That stuff was Oscar caliber great. Iron Fist, for what it was, Dennis and I both are on the record of liking it. I think it got I think there was a little bit of piling on going on, and I think I'm just going to come out and say it, not to be too controversial. I think it's a lot of I don't want to say fake geeks or posers. I'm going to say a lot of new nerds, okay? Because, I really dislike the fake geek thing and the poser nerd thing. That's not what we're about. We're about inclusiveness, and we want new people in. And if new people, spout off and make mistakes, hey, don't we all? But I think that was a lot of it. I think a lot of it was like they just didn't really know Iron Fist. Now, did it have problems? Absolutely. Had tons of problems. Yeah. He wasn't in shape,
He wasn't in shape, but also at the same time, you got to remember it wasn't Iron Fist, it was Danny Rand, is what that was. This is pretty much, he's really not the Iron Fist. He really isn't even the Iron Fist in Defenders. He's just in title only. He has been given the title, but he hasn't grown into that role. And having seen all 8 episodes, I can tell you by the end of this, you will have. I'm very much looking forward to season 2 of Iron Fist. To tell you the truth,
if we get one,
we already have. Yeah, it's a green lit, and it's already in pre-production and everything. So,
I hope so. I hope so. Well, despite it getting panned, apparently, according to Netflix, it got plenty of views and it got plenty of downloads and it built up their subscriptions. So I don't know. And I just know that's what the internet's saying. That's not particularly what I'm saying. I like Danny for what he is. He's the, hey guys, let's make a team. I think that's cool. It's cool to have that because we have, well, 3 other dark characters. The least dark is Luke Cage, who's actually probably been through the worst shit. Some of the worst. No, Jessica's been through the worst shit. Let me take that back.
Yeah, Jessica has been through the worst shit. And
she, the thing that I have a hard time with Jessica is, I love a good redemption story. I love somebody who's been through some shit and gets their way out of it. And I know she's still working her way out, and I want to see the rest of that story. Up until episode 4, I haven't seen a lot of that. She's still the same Jessica she was in episode 1 of series 1, and we'll talk more about that at the end of the podcast. But as far as the H word for me, it was really good. I thought it was just like little mini epilogues. And I don't remember Daredevil ending that dark, so I got to go back and rewatch it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it did end that dark, and whew, God, I love everything Daredevil, and I can even get past the no costume thing. There's little to no costumes in the first 4 episodes, and they even give costumes a lot of shit.
Yes, they reference it quite a bit, and this again, you got to remember, is the divorce from the TVs and the movies, and the movies having all these costumes and things like that, and the TV shows not having the costumes. That's where this is coming from. This is honestly, it's a dig at the division between Kevin Feige and Ike Perlmutter. Is what's going on, and take it for what it is. I mean, honestly, it's kind of stupid, but it is a little jab in that direction.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the right direction to go.
No,
by the way, I mean, it's absolutely not. And I don't know how much is it Perlmutter?
Perlmutter, yeah.
Perlmutter. I don't know how much directly involved. He's a notorious recluse.
No, it's Jeff Loeb. It's definitely Jeff Loeb, and I understand he's got some bitterness towards the MCU, just because they've kind of omitted those characters. Basically the whole TV section, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans, all of that is not going to be supposedly in the MCU, but they are. I
heard recently that the Defenders might show up in the second Avengers movie. I don't know. I hope so, because they told us that early on, and then they went back on it. And you're right. It's because of this little mini internal war that's going on that everybody knows about now. I mean, it's like, and this is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to hurt the stuff we love. This is why we can't have nice things, right, Dennis?
Exactly. This is why we can't have nice things.
But let's, getting back to, so where we're at with Daredevil is he quit. Luke Cage is getting out of prison. By the way, I wish I would have had an exit like that. Applause. That's probably the most fantasy element of the entire show is prisoners. That for one, they would have hated Luke Cage. Are you kidding me? He's like, out for justice, and he probably put some guys in there, and he's working with the cops. He would have been in protective custody, even though he's got, protective skin. He wouldn't have been popular in prison. Okay. So that was a little, but it was a fun scene. And, I love to see, Malcolm back with, Jessica. I always love, the lovable drug addict. We got it. Everybody needs a lovable former drug addict.
Yeah, he's former drug addict.
Yes. A lovable recovering drug addict in your life makes life better. They see things different, And then we had Iron Fist, and they were, he had actually the bulk of the scenes, it seemed like anyway, in the first episode, and it really kind of ended right where the first season ended, and we still don't know what happened to Kunlun. We know it's gone. We don't necessarily, he thinks everybody's dead. He had that nightmare on the plane. There was that great shot of when his head was over the sink and the camera was like in the sink. I love that shot. One thing I did notice, Dennis, with this cinematically and the way it's written is they've toned it down a little bit. This is PG-13.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not the rated R Daredevil heads getting severed.
Oh, no, trust me,
Yeah, well,
I'll
okay.
I'll say
There's heads getting set. Okay, let's talk about these 4 episodes. We're just talking about these four
yeah.
episodes, Dennis. Okay,
I'm just
so
saying it's not. Yeah, the first episode sure was toned down a little bit, but it ramps
the
up
first
slowly.
four, I mean, it's not like, okay, there's heads getting severed, and then there's heads being bashed in with a car door and then being
True.
severed, and then
Yes.
gushes of blood coming out. It's I mean, it's not totally toned down. It's PG-13. Okay.
Yeah.
But it shows and my biggest worry with this episode was, oh my God, the characters are going to get together in like episode 7, and I'm glad that's not the case, but it set the pace really good. And this had to be hard. This had to be really hard I mean, this is a huge ensemble. This is, I would say this is harder than Civil War.
Yeah.
Because you had to include all these sub characters, or all these big, with Foggy and everybody. You had to include, Misty Knight, Claire, who's like the Nick Fury of this group, the one who brings them all together, in a way, and do it believably and authentically, and then I have to admit, I was a little worried about the villain choice they took, and going the supernatural route, because these are all street level, and I was kind of thinking that they would take on like a cabal, and they kind of did, but not a supernatural cabal, just like a mafia cabal of Kingpin and all the other crime lords. That's why.
Well, it's a continuation of the Hand story. I mean, the Hand story it has been throughout Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist, and that's kind of what's uniting them. All these, series all together is the Hand, if you will,
and the 5 fingers of the Hand.
Yes.
And then our leader of the Hand is our first, our newest character, Sigourney Weaver, playing Alexandria. And this is the one problem I had, and I'm talking just through episodes 1 through 4, so I could change my mind later. Okay. But right now, and I was watching it with my wife, Melissa, and this was a great birthday present to watch with her. I found her character not menacing at all and a little boring. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a slow build with this one, but they set the bar high with Kingpin. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then with oh God, I'm spacing the Purple Man. That's impossible to hit again. Those are two of the best Marvel MCU villains. But
the thing is, that's not what this whole series is about. This series, after seeing it in its entirety, I'm going to say that is not what this is about. It's not the villain that makes it up, and it's really.
But we're talking about the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, I know we're talking about the first 4 episodes. I'm just saying though that once you get into it a little bit more, you'll see.
And then we will cover that later.
Yes, we'll cover that later. That's why I'm not touching it.
We're just
I'm
talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm talking about episodes 1 through 4.
Yes, I know.
And yeah. So we'll see how this builds and where this goes, but I don't find her menacing at all. And this is the one flaw I see in this, and it's not Danny Rand. I don't think Danny Rand is a flaw in this at all.
No, he's actually really good in this.
I love his innocence, and he's the, like I said earlier, he's the guy like, let's make a team, guys. It's really great, and then seeing Elektra come back was the shit. And I know some people were criticizing. I think she looks like Elektra. The only drawback, and I'm going to probably catch crap for this, is, she looks like she's cold all the time. She's wearing this big freaking jacket. It's like, okay, Matrix, not the best fight. A big floppy coat is not the best thing to fight in. I know she's badass.
I think her stunt double was a little bit bigger, so they had to put her in that coat.
You think so? Yeah, because what the hell, I mean, okay, fine. You want to tone down the Frank Miller G-string thing? Totally get it. Fine. I'm not, I would have been okay either way because I'm a man, but I'm okay with that. But the coat thing, come on. The fighting was a little better. I really the scene, the very first scene kind of set the tone. The fighting was already better than anything in Iron Fist, and that was my biggest complaint about Iron Fist was the choreography. and some of the directing. You can't really blame the actors. You know, they only have so much time to train, and it really is all the tricks of the camera, too. You know, and your stunt doubles, because the actors aren't actually doing anything except those face shots where they go ha, you know, and that's it. I don't know, but the first episode was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was into it because I was worried this was gonna suck, man. I was thinking maybe it's over for Netflix and this thing's gonna run its course, you know, aside from Punisher. But you know, I don't know.
I really, like I said, I like the way this first episode ended. We get the earthquake that happens, and Sigourney Weaver basically telling Elektra, or the Dark Sky, if you will, this is just a city dying. You'll see many more like it. Don't worry.
Yeah, get used to it.
Yeah.
So, okay, you've lived in San Francisco and San Diego and California all your life, and so have I. A 4.6 earthquake, even if it's shallow, is it going to crack buildings?
In New York, it will, because they are not set up. They don't have the same building code. You gotta remember, I'm safety. I do building codes and all that kind of stuff as well. New York does not have the same building codes that we have in California. So yes, a 4.6 earthquake will definitely take down some buildings and like edifices, the outside. Because you got to remember, a lot of these buildings in New York are 100, 150 years old, that kind of thing. And so made of brick. A lot of them have brick facades or these plaster corner pieces that are going to come off, kind of like you see Luke Cage lifting up and thrown off to the side. Yeah, that's actually a 4.6 earthquake will definitely take that kind of thing out.
I've felt the 4.6. They're not, I mean, 5.6. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The cracking of the roof. Danny, that was like that was a
little bit much. Yeah.
I mean, a light pole coming down for sure. Well, what was the Napa earthquake that we had 3 years ago? What was that? A 6.4, right?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
That was that. I think it was a 6.2, 6.4. That one was. And now I know each point you go up, it gets way higher.
Yeah,
that one was good. That one was good.
Exponential.
But either way, it was a cool scene, and it made me think. You know, when Matt was, I wonder what an earthquake is to Daredevil. You know, I was like, oh man, that must just make his senses freak out. And that's why that was cool that he looked like genuinely freaked out. Like that's, you know, that would, yeah, with the senses that high, yeah. So, because at first I was like, why is he scared? This is the man without fear, but. You're fucking with all the senses right now. So it was good. It was a very good ending. It set the pace, and through the first 4 episodes, there have been no real slow parts. The only slow parts for me are some of the Alexandria stuff, but that's a minuscule complaint. I mean, you know, we're getting an idea that she's incredibly old. You know, when she's talking about you know, being in Constantinople.
Yeah.
And you know, what was that dish she had? It looked good.
I don't know, some kind of, you know.
I'm gonna go back and look. We'll have an answer for you in the next podcast. So we had you got to help me out here with episode 2 because my notes were crap. So
Mean Right Hook is where we first get Iron Fist and Power Man together. And this is the first punch that is thrown, if you will, between the heroes. And you get, you know, Danny punching Luke in the face.
Yeah. And, you like our buddy John, our co-host, who could not make it because he's, I don't know, it's some lame excuse about getting married or something like that. I don't know.
The eclipse on Monday.
Oh, it was the eclipse?
I think.
Oh, yeah. He's hiding. Yeah. It's Hail Bop 2. He's going out and putting on his purple sweatpants and getting his Nikes on.
And hiding in a bunker.
That was dark. I actually got caught in the traffic for that, by the way, in San Diego. I'll tell that in another podcast. But so yeah, that fight was hilarious. It was freaking hilarious. The whole and like he's just like looking at going, oh, what are you doing? And then but you know, but our friend John was like, oh yeah, Iron Fist is getting his ass kicked. I'm like, I think Iron Fist kind of won that fight in the end.
He did in the end, yeah. So the whole thing was Danny and Colleen stumble upon a warehouse that has bodies in it, and it's bodies of the chased. And now if you remember the chase, that is Styx's group. They're all dead because they're actually following the sword of someone they fought back in the sewers of Europe. And very rare sword. In the meantime, Luke is actually following this guy with the white hat that's been recruiting young kids. And he's following one of the kids because he knows who the kid is, whose mom has already lost 2 kids already. And that's the last kid she's got left. And we find out that this kid has actually been hired to clean up the bodies. He's basically the cleaner, if you will. And that's where Danny's,
Question. What were they spraying on the bodies? Was that just like a hot water with soap, or was it acid? It was acid.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we have a string of events that's bringing all our heroes together. You just told 2 of them. Jessica had a woman and a daughter come to her looking for her missing architect husband.
Yeah.
And Jessica's just like, well, duh, he's cheating on you, and was totally kind of a biatch to him. But, then of course, Jessica being Jessica, she feels bad like 5 minutes later. And she's like, oh, I hope you find him. But then she gets a phone call saying, don't look for this guy. Blah, blah, blah. And that, of course, makes her want to look for him. And the Daredevil just won a $12 million case. And
pro bono case. He won an $11 million pro bono case.
And then what's the string of events that leads him into it again? Oh, God, I should know this. I just watched it.
He actually, what leads him into it is actually that's the building. It's basically the hole. The hole still. He's still investigating that whole thing.
Yep.
So he hasn't really stepped into this whole realm as of yet. He's still been investigating where the hole is, which now has a building on top of it.
Yep.
And so he's been keeping tabs on it.
And that's what the architect was working on.
Yeah.
And he knows too much.
And he ends up, basically Daredevil ends up getting Jessica Jones' case from Foggy, who now works for Hogarth.
Yep. Because Foggy's trying to keep Matt busy, and not because Matt's trying. He's basically trying to quit drugs. He's trying to quit going out and being a superhero. So Foggy is being a great friend and like, hey, dude, I got some good work for you. That's
right up your alley. He goes, here, I've got too much.
Being a hero.
Yeah,
that whole thing was cool. So what I wanted to get to was, so the kid that Luke Cage is trying to save is the girl from I'm forgetting her name now. From season 1, the witness who died, and her brother just died. So this is Mama has lost 2 kids already. So he's trying to Misty Knight kind of sends him to go get this kid straight
out of prison. She basically grabs him and says, here, I want you to walk with me through.
I want you to mentor, because an ex-felon is great for mentoring, which, after some time. But so this kid's like cleaning bodies with acids, and then, Iron Fist comes up on this and is like threatening the kid because the kid's working for the Hand indirectly. And then Luke Cage stops him, and, they get into a fight over this kid. Now I totally get why Luke Cage is like looking out for this kid, but Luke was talking about like, oh, he's working a legit job. It's like, no, he's not.
He never saw it.
Body. No, he didn't.
He didn't see what was going on inside. So, yeah.
But he's working for the man with the white hat. It can't be, he can't be, going to get
anything good.
Thai food or something like that, But the fight was really cool. But the argument afterwards is what really got me, because like, he's trying to, Luke Cage is trying to like talk about, it was, it wasn't really white privilege. It was economic privilege. And he had a great point on that one. That whole privilege thing pisses me off because people are individuals and you got to judge them by, individuals and actions. But economic privilege was a really good argument. Like, what the fuck are you doing with all these lower level people when you're a goddamn billionaire and you can use that, like fucking Bruce Wayne. So that was a good fight. But when he started going like, he was just working a job, I'm like, wasn't he putting acid on bodies? But he didn't know.
Yeah. And Danny didn't get a chance to tell him either.
No. And then Claire locks him in a room and makes him talk, which is hilarious.
She doesn't lock him in a room. She basically introduces them and goes, you know what? I'm gonna let you boys talk.
Figure of speech, Dennis.
Talk it out. Use your words. As she even says, use your words.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, we're gonna go over here in this room and we're gonna have girl time.
And they almost talk it out, but they don't get along. Actually, they don't get it. It doesn't work at all.
Well, they're starting to until Luke, started bringing up, what are you doing fighting street level punks? And
yep. Which is kind of a good point, but he is Luke doesn't know that Danny is a shitty businessman, and hence that he's like, oh, I'm gonna go be Bruce Wayne now, and he's like, put on a suit, it's like that didn't really work.
No.
So, and then Stick comes back.
Yes, we see Stick.
Love Stick.
We see Stick is actually a prisoner of the Hand.
Yes.
And he's the last one left of his army, the Chased. So basically he's screwed, and he's chained to a pole, literally chained to a pole. And Elektra comes in to, he actually asks Alexandra. Is it Alexandra or Alexandria?
It's Alexandria.
Alexandria. Okay.
Oh, it's Alexandra.
It's Alexandra. Okay.
It's Alexandra.
So Alexandra, he says, oh, so we're going to do the whole torture thing? He goes, I love that. It's old school. And she goes, no, we're beyond that. I don't do that kind of stuff, which I thought was kind of funny. And then, of course, what happens? She slaps him. Goes, there we go.
There we go. Had a girl. You know what would have been cool, though? For one, oh, my God. Who was the character from season 1, Daredevil, the big guy? Stone, was it? I can't remember his name now.
I know
from the Chase.
Yes.
From the Chase, yeah. So he's obviously dead, so we're not going to see him, which kind of sucks because I was kind of hoping we'd see, the front end of that guy because he looked badass. The guy with the scarred back.
Yeah, that was Stone.
It kind of looked like Wolverine. Yeah, Stone. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously he's dead. That sucks. What I would have liked was a flashback of just the 5 fingers of the hand, and kind of like, even though they told you what they did, I would have liked to have seen it. Sure, it would have cost money, but Netflix is 20 billion in debt. What's another few million for a flashback scene to kind of show us the origins of the bad guys and kind of give us a context? Because the other thing I don't like very much is the finger of the hand from Iron Fist. What was his name again?
The finger of the hand? What?
Kobuko, whatever's his name.
Oh, Bakudo.
Bakudo, thank you. Bakudo. I should have wrote that down. I told you I'm noteless today. Bakudo is not my favorite character. And he I don't know, maybe it's his voice. There's something just not intimidating about that guy at all.
It's what it
He's
is.
An asshole.
That's all it is. And quite honestly, what we saw in Iron Fist is all he's capable of. He's not the greatest actor. All right. And quite honestly, he doesn't get any better.
No.
So he is what he is. He's the one note character. Madame Gao, on the other hand,
I love Madame Gao. Yeah, especially even in her like submissive role around Alexandra, which was a little off-putting. Like, whoa, what the hell has she got on her?
Yeah.
But you see that Madame Gao is kind of the smart one. The whole group. The play, plays it cool, and very Euron Greyjoy, who everybody on Euron Greyjoy's crew is a mute because he rips their tongue out. She blinds all of her followers to keep them, loyal.
Which we got to wonder, was Stick one of her followers at one point in time?
Will we find out? Because we're not going to get any of these flashbacks.
No, we're not going to find. That's the one thing is they just mentioned it, that she blinds all her followers, and that was the one thing that automatically made me think, holy crap, was Stick one of her followers? And that's what pushed him over into the Chase.
Yep. I wonder. Well, we maybe we'll find out in episodes 4 through 8. I have no idea. But so we get Stick, and he's caught by Alexandra, and then Elektra shows up, and you find out that she chose Elektra as the Black Sky vessel as a fuck you. or an FU, sorry, to Stick, which was cold-blooded, man. Just I was like, oh, and you almost saw Stick care about something, because Stick's still all about the fight. That's what he's all about.
Exactly.
The war, yes. And he's a very focused individual. Doesn't really care about his wardrobe or his right hand. And the irony is not lost that he gave a hand to a hand, And he just like, oh, shit, I'm going to cut off my hand now. I got to go,
He's actually fighting them while still chained to the pole. He grabs a sword from Alexandra, one of Elektra's swords, and he's fighting off Elektra while he's chained to the pole. And then he just unceremoniously just whips the sword right underneath his hand and takes it off, takes the right hand right off, so he can get out of the chains.
Yep. And we find out Alexandra can fight too. She's just sick. She's dying. So even though you're mortal, and Alexandra has been brought, it seems like she's been brought back. I think she mentions it a couple times.
Brought back many times.
She's been brought back. So when you get brought back, you could still get sick.
Yeah, your vessel, as they said, the organism still dies. I mean, it can degrade. It just, you need that substance that they keep talking about in order to regenerate it.
So you're regenerating the same body. Like you're not in somebody else's body.
No.
So I'm curious where I guess all races are kind of represented. Not all, but some. I mean, we have European, which is Sigourney Weaver, African, the man, who was this name? The guy with the white hat.
I can't remember his name.
White
honestly.
hat.
Yeah, white hat.
Bakudo, South American, and we had Madame Gao, Chinese, and
we have Japanese as well, and
Japanese. Yes, the taxidermy guy, or the hunter guy, who reminded me of Kraven the Hunter for some reason, with that bear. That scene was gnarly, dude.
Yeah, the moon bear.
Yeah, moon bear. The moon bear. You think he was going after an aphrodisiac?
Might have been to pull out the liver. I mean,
yeah. Well, we know that's kind of a thing. So, the whole, seeing the 5 fingers of the hand, another thing, no Kingpin.
No Kingpin, no Bullseye. Those are the things I kind of miss in the Daredevil series. We saw Kingpin, of course, in the Daredevil. Yeah. Great Kingpin, but no Bullseye. And we have Elektra, and the death of Elektra without Bullseye just kind of, we both said, that's kind of weak. And hopefully we get Bullseye coming into season 3.
Oh, I think we will. I think we will. I think we know, and we'll discuss it next podcast. I think I know exactly where we're going. Because if you can't do the first Miller run, you do the second one. And I think I'll just come out and say, I think we're doing Born Again. That's just it. I think there you go. Born Again is coming, and that is a beautiful thing. Now you're going to have to weave in Daredevil, but we'll discuss, it's better to just discuss that last podcast, because that'd be just filled with spoilers.
I'll just tell you this: the final scene of Defenders.
I don't want to know.
You know good things. That's all I'm going to say about what's happening.
Okay. I know you're excited, Dennis, but we got another podcast to do.
I'm not giving anything away, and I'm not giving.
Okay. So Stick gets out of the dojo kind of quickly. Actually, it impresses Alexandra.
One-handed, and he climbs through a vent that's high up in the wall. I mean, she even goes, "Son of a bitch!"
Son of a bitch. And he makes his way to Colleen's dojo.
Yes, he knows that the hand is looking for the Iron Fist, because remember, he even says, they're looking for the Iron Fist. I need to get to him first.
Yep. And they, she knows all about the hand because she was in it.
Yep.
So they go to that building with the property group, which is the group that owns the Black Sky building, where that giant hole, which they haven't shown yet, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Jessica Jones finds it originally, right? When she's investigating.
Yeah, she has the address at least, because that's where the architect had that address.
Yeah, and when she's investigating the architect, she goes down in that record and she just keeps going, holy shit, what the hell? What the hell? It keeps going back further and further. And she pulls out like an 1800s document. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to go back further, you know, and it's all shell corporations. And, you know, at least they changed their name quite a bit. But you know, through that's where, you know, and then after Danny's little scolding by Luke Cage, where he's got to go and, you know, start being, you know, Bruce Wayne. So his big idea is to put on hush puppies and and a suit and walk into the boardroom.
And okay, I'm just going to say this right now. I know it's stylish to wear like tan shoes with a dark suit. Fuck that shit. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Stop it now.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid trend. Stop it. I know it's in fashion, but
I don't know. I think that was in fashion like 5 years ago, to be honest with you. Like David Tennant can pull it off with his, you know, with his Chuck Taylors and a suit, you know, the whole nerd chic thing. But that was early 2000s, man, baby. That is over. Throw on some Doc Martens with your suit if you want to be ironic. Or some
Midland
boots.
Circle, by the way. Midland Circle is the name of the building.
Midland Circle. There we go. And the Midland Circle Group or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was basically the Hand, and he walks in, and Alexandra is like, you know, hey, he's like, oh, I'm going to pull you out of hiding. And she's like, we're not hiding. And then, you know, all her badass pull out those little, what's up with those little sticks that everybody puts out, those little.
The batons?
Batons.
It's a collapsible baton. It's actually used for fighting. It's portable, so you can slip it into a suit.
Oh, that's right. And they didn't want him killed. The guy was like, don't you want to kill your enemy? But they don't. So they just want to whack him with these batons. It's the Iron Fist. It's not going to stop them.
Plus, they have stun darts as well. You see them shooting.
Yes, they did. And in the meantime, Jessica's kind of onto this stuff. And she when she was walking towards the building, do you think she knew she was being followed by Matt, right?
Yeah, remember, we see the whole scene beforehand of her.
And she flips it.
Yeah, and she takes pictures of Matt actually jumping up on top of the building.
Yep.
Not acting blind at all, of course, and snaps some pictures of him. And then he starts following her again when she's making her way into the Midland building. And this is pretty much where they first come in. And she even tells him, she goes, well, what's going on with you? She goes, I saw you, you know, climbing up, you know, the side of the building. She goes, I've got proof of that. And he immediately reaches into her bag, grabs the camera, and smashes it.
Yep. And then this is the scene that everybody's seen in the hallway, where I kind of thought, you know, because it was our third episode, so are we going to get our big fight scene with the big, you know, the uncut, you know, that started in Daredevil season 1? And we kind of got that, but there was cuts in it.
Yes.
I think they wanted to do it originally, and I think it just didn't work, and it looks like they went back and re-edited it. Kind of bummer. I was kind of hoping for a big, long, good fight in the third episode. It's become a tradition at this point. Do it.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it. It was still a pretty good fight. Elektra came in. Everybody converged. Daredevil did the scarf thing. You know, there's still no costumes. He doesn't look that out of practice. And I love the whole, you know, Jessica Jones not knowing any karate, and just like she's the one kind of like pushing people and stuff,
and just
she's
throwing
acting
them
like the bruiser, which is funny, you know, which is awesome. Another thing.
Scene, my favorite scene out of this though was when Luke Cage busts in. When Danny Rand is pinned to the executive table, they're just about to trank him, and all of a sudden the doors just fly off the hinges. That's when Luke comes in and starts beating the crap out of people. And for a little while there, we get Danny and Luke fighting back to back. And that's when the guys burst in with guns. And Luke steps in front, and Danny hides behind him as they're shooting with regular bullets. And I was like, I actually went, yeah, because that was my Power Man and Iron Fist moment. I was like, that's fucking what I want to see. That's what I want to see out of these series.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of hoping the next one isn't just. I kind of hope they team up in the next episode. You know,
yeah, me too.
And you know, if anybody doesn't know the story behind it, there were two back in the days when they didn't really cancel comic books that many because they didn't put too many out. And if a comic book sold less than 100,000, which would be a bestseller these days, it would get canceled. So they have both ended at the same time. And what they said was, it wasn't any big major thought behind it. They're like, hey, both books are ending. Let's put them in a team book, and we'll just put them into one book. And it worked.
Heroes for Hire was born.
Power Man and Iron Fist, their first issue together was issue 50. So continuing the numbering from, I can't remember if it was Iron Fist or I think it was Power Man. I think it was Power Man. I was continuing the numbering for Power Man. Because back in those days, they would just change titles and keep the numbering, a la Thor, Journey in the Mystery 83, and then it goes up a little way, and then it becomes Thor at 100. Hulk started at 100, Captain America started when so did the Tales of Suspense. Split up because it was Captain America and Iron Man, and they went to Iron Man #1, but Captain America started at 100. So when I was getting in the comics, these comics look all old, and I'm like, how is this 100 issues farther than the other one when they came out at the same? I didn't get it when I was a kid. So we get that cool fight scene, and then they end up in the they go to the Chinese restaurant, the Hideout,
the Royal Dragon.
Yes, and they meet Stick, and we start getting the story now. I remember the scene where Stick sits down, and they're all just kind of like, I don't want to be a hero, and don't say hero. We're not a team. And Luke Cage, asks Stick, this is where you should tell us the whole story. And I'm like, yes, we're going to get the whole story. And then they cut to Alexandra, and I'm like, God damn it, I wanted to hear that whole story. Now, he does go back to it, but I was like, shit. I know it's just funny. You had to be there. My wife and I were like, what? At the same time. And, it's just Alexandra going, fawning over Elektra. And we get to see a bit of Elektra's origin or re-origin, her rebirth. They put some chocolate syrup in her casket, and
that's the substance that they're looking for. Yes,
that was the substance. It was Hershey's chocolate syrup, and it was so obvious.
mixed with a little bit of ash. That's what it was.
Yes, a little bit of ash, but just trying to keep a clean mind when you're seeing Elektra covered in chocolate syrup was really hard.
Yep. Yes.
Yes. So, apartment living. We got to love it. So, and they, so as they're sitting there meeting, and even Stick's like, we don't have a lot of time here to sit around. And Jessica decides to take off. She's like, screw this, I'm out of here, which is very, very in character for her. This whole team thing is like hard to buy. As a matter of fact, this early on with her, remember, there's, when she was in the comic books, she never became a member of the Avengers. It's not like she's ever put the hero thing back on.
Actually, she does briefly become a member of the Avengers. Remember, this is pretty much when all the Avengers are almost wiped out. So she does become a member of the Avengers briefly. She's kind of an auxiliary Avenger, if you will.
Yeah, but it was like a long freaking time.
Yeah.
It was, and that was God, that was in Bendis's run because
before Civil War. It's before Civil War. Right before Civil War.
Well, after Disassemble.
Yes.
After Disassemble, which was awesome, by the way. Go and read, especially the Thor Disassemble. That was the best. Thor Ragnarok. That's what it was. That was such a good story, dude. And speaking of Thor Ragnarok, we were just talking about that in our pre-show thing. You know what the real Defenders is Thor Ragnarok. It's actually got more real members.
Two-thirds of the original Defenders.
It's got Doctor Strange, Valkyrie, and the Hulk.
Yes.
That's
only thing it's missing is Namor.
Namor and Silver Surfer. And Silver Surfer wasn't even that. But yeah, more Namor than anything. Oh, and Nighthawk. Nighthawk was the Defenders. Yes. Good old Nighthawk. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only book he was in. Remember, he started out Squadron Supreme. They brought him over in the Defenders.
Yeah.
That was my favorite team book. That's why I'm so happy about this. He's, I hope they rebrand and do a real Defenders someday because it is the best team ever. But, I mean, they'd have to take on, Galactus or something like that because they're so powerful. But it's ridiculous. Like, who's going to beat Doctor Strange, Namor, Silver Surfer, and Hulk? Nobody. But it's really fun seeing the team get back together. I really enjoyed this. It's just Alexander doesn't seem like a threat at all to me, and the Hand is not. They were way more menacing in Daredevil season 1. I thought, with the
season
whole
2. Yeah, season 2, I thought a lot more because they were hunting. They were literally just hunting down people and killing the crap out of people.
Yeah,
in season 2.
I think it was what I'm referring to in season 1 is the mystery of them. We didn't know anything about them, and then when they brought the kid as Black Sky, and you're like, what the hell's Black Sky? And we still don't totally know what Black Sky. It's a weapon, and obviously Elektra's superpowered now because she's kicking people across rooms.
Jessica
the way she's
Jones,
moving,
when she slaps Jessica Jones in the face in Jessica's apartment, and Jessica feels it and goes, what the hell? That's why she says, what the hell? Because she shouldn't be able to feel that.
No.
From Elektra.
And what really works for me is the biggest problem with the later shows is they get bogged down with the drama of the sub characters, and it seems like they're just trying to fill time. They didn't do that. Everybody was played perfectly. Foggy, Karen, and Misty Knight. Everybody Claire was thrown in there just the right amount of time to move the story forward. And it doesn't feel like we're wasting time to get to our big end, which I have no idea what it is because I haven't watched it. I have watched up to episode 5. I've been really trying really hard to keep it in. I know a little bit what happens later on, but not much. And we will cover that in detail, and we will be much better with names and stuff. But this is basically our binge review. I have a day job, and I usually write notes, but my notes were kind of crappy because it was my birthday. But we wanted to get a binge review out. We do these. This was one of the earliest things we did. We did a Daredevil binge review. Usually we do just one podcast for the whole thing. We're going to split it into 2 this time. Hopefully our co-host John can join us for the second one.
I don't know. That eclipse happens on Monday, so he might.
It does happen on Monday. We could all die. I don't know.
We don't know. He might see a shadow and not come out for 6 weeks.
I can't wait. Unfortunately, I'm in San Francisco, so I'm going to have to drive somewhere sunny to see it. I think we're going to get pretty good darkness. It's not going to be totally dark, but I think a good half of the sun's going to be
about
cut out.
60%. Yeah.
60%. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So I've never seen anything like that. So I cannot wait for that. That's going to be fun. I got a day off for that. Our next podcast. Do you have any final words, Dennis? On
yeah, finally, we how does Royal Dragon episode 4 end? There's a big fight that happens. Actually, is that episode 5 or is that episode 4?
That's episode 5.
Episode 5.
Right at the Royal Dragon. That
at the end of
the hand. All the 5 figure of the hands have shown up at the restaurant, and that's where it ends.
And that's where it ends. And so they're getting ready for a fight. Is what happens, and that's where we're going to leave that little cliffhanger.
And Marvel has done it again, and I'm going to say Marvel. And let's speak briefly about Netflix here. Netflix is getting another influx of a huge amount of money next year, in the billions. I don't know how long this is last. I equate Netflix is your coke addicted friend who just received a multi-million-dollar inheritance from his dad, and he is partying his or her ass off. We all know where this ends. It ends in a Tijuana jail with an STD, and and you're broke.
And your ass hurts.
And your ass
for
hurts.
Some reason.
Some mysterious reason. But until then, we should enjoy this. And we also know that Disney's going to break from Netflix, but we don't know if it's just the Disney side and not the Star Wars. I'm saying Star Wars could break all at once. But the Marvel superhero stuff is the stuff we care about. And if this is your first time watching us, usually we know what the hell we're talking about, but mostly we ramble and it's all about snap judgments. This is pretty much what it is. Okay. Like I said, we have day jobs, but we are more in the TV side than we are into the movie side. That's what we tend to favor, because it's better. It's better right now. And the quality, this could have been really bad. Despite my complaints, I still think it's really good. I cannot wait to watch the rest. Yeah. So our next podcast, we will be reviewing Game of Thrones, because we're waiting till Sunday to watch it. and we might be the only ones who did. But you know, and anyways, even if you came up with the podcast early, you would be busted. So, and some people have, dumbasses. It's okay. You know, I pay for a subscription. I'm just going to rate to watch it. I'm sure it's great. Then we're going to come back for Preacher. If you are our Preacher fans, if you watch our recaps, you'll notice we didn't do one last week. I did like my performance, and the episode wasn't that great. So it's better just than, you know, not put it out. Hopefully, it looks like next episode will be better. So
my performance was flawless as usual.
Dennis is always flawless.
But, you know.
So yeah,
just
so
as
we
this
got Game of
podcast,
Thrones, we got Preacher, and then Wednesday we're gonna do another Defenders, and this is our light stuff. Come September, October.
Tuesday was Defenders, right?
That's what Wednesday. You said. We'll do Wednesday.
Okay,
we'll do Wednesday. I need a break in between our 3 podcasts in a row. It's so tiring. And yeah, come September, October, we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff. So, anything else, Dennis?
Yes, for those of you who are still watching the Defenders, I'm just going to say at the very last episode, stay through to the end of the credits and watch something that happens after the end of the credits. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
On the very last episode.
You
won't be disappointed. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You have been listening to a Nerdrotic podcast. Please subscribe.